Hey guys, welcome back to the Friend Zone podcast. This week we have Alan Austen joining us. He's been in Star Wars, he's been in Indiana Jones, he's been in Doctor Who. You know, he's been in many things. So, Alan, how are you doing?
Yeah, a bit hot and sweaty. I think it's everybody else is at the moment. So, I'm just waiting on this thunderstorm.
Yeah. To cool us down for the night. I mean, I'm not lying, but I love the sound of rain when you're going to sleep.
Oh yeah.
I can't do it on my phone. If it's real and the cold, that's good. I like that. Anyway, Alan, how was your quarantine? What have you been doing?
How's my quarantine? Well, what can I say? I'm a kind of bloke that self-isolates on occasions anyway. And there's nothing I love better than to have, a long weekend just at home and not see anybody.
Yeah.
But I don't like to be told what to do, and this has been decreed by the state. Being a bit of an old anarchist, I don't like that, and I don't like being told when I can go out, when I can't go out. It's up to me. If I want to self-quarantine, that's fine. The state tells me to, I get angry. Simple as that.
Yeah. It's just it's been a long time being locked up, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's been ridiculous, and all those things you start out, you think, I'll learn another language. I'll write a book. I'll do this and I'll do that. You don't.
You don't know.
No.
Those projects that you do. I mean, this podcast was a project we started during quarantine, so we've managed to stick to one of them. At least there's something.
Get in shape, and that's just gone down. Done the opposite.
I said I was going to convert my shed, and I've only just started doing it again. It's at the end of quarantine. Anyway, Alan, when did you start getting into acting? Like, what really drove you to become an actor? And
well, you guys won't remember the 60s. I was born in the Christmas 1958, and in the early 60s, and carried on for several years, ABC Cinemas used to do Saturday morning pictures for kids, and I think it cost sixpence to go in there and watch all these movies, and that's what kind of captured me. And then television was still black and white tellies in those days, but I used to love, watching TV, and I can remember vividly watching the first ever episode of Doctor Who. And, I just wanted, these people looked like they were having fun, I'd come from a very, very working class background, and work was never looked on as fun at all. But to me, these people on the screen looked as though they were having a whale of a time, and I just thought, I want to do what they do.
Yeah. It's that's kind of really how I thought I wanted to become an actor as well. I was watching Star Wars, Harrison Ford, and I was like, that just looks like fun. You just get to pretend for months on end. So. It's just people say being an actor is just actually being a professional pretender. So there you go.
I would agree with that. In fact, I had an old friend who was a stuntman that sort of drifted into acting, and in fact, Derek. His surname's escaping me at the moment. I think I've got early onset of Alzheimer's, but he played Old Man Slater in EastEnders for several years. Derek Martin, and I worked with Derek on a TV series back in the 90s, and we're both working class Londoners. He's more of a Cockney than I am, and we'd start work in the morning, and he'd just clap his hands and say, "Okay, Al, it's cowboys and Indians." Because that's how he looked on working as an actor, as we're playing cowboys and Indians. And, us as kids, we grew up in the street playing cowboys and Indians. And so that's how he looks at it, and I agree. That is what it is. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
That's actually, I've got a lot of people that turn it into work. Now, my opinion is if you're an actor and you can't have fun with it and you just turn it into a job of work, then why don't you go into a business where you can make a load of money and work, you know?
Yeah.
No, so I've never looked at it. It should be fun. In fact, it has to be fun. It's imperative. It's hard work at times, don't get me wrong. It's stressful at times. But in general, you know, you're doing it for the fun and the love of it. The money should be secondary.
I feel like with acting, if you it's kind of just basically what you're saying, but if you're doing a piece or like a monologue or something and you're not having fun with it, it kind of hinders your performance a lot as well, because you're not enjoying doing it. So if you're not enjoying doing it, you're not going to put as much effort into something that you are enjoying to do.
I agree. I think so. You know, I think, you can be playing a really emotional scene, and you know, some dialogue or monologue could be, you know, really hard hitting and emotional, and it should have an emotional effect on the audience, but it also should have an emotional effect on the actor. And yeah, I mean, Steve McQueen was asked, what's it like being an actor, or you know, being in some tense scenes in a movie or whatever, and he said it's like pulling glass from an open wound. And yeah, it can be, but afterwards, after you've got that out of the way and you've kind of proved yourself that you can actually do this shit, it's then have fun.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, like, so growing up, who was the person you looked up to, as in, like, was there an actor that you thought, oh, you're the reason why I wanted to do this? Or is someone you looked up to as a role model for acting?
I guess just about all of them. The Hollywood greats, you know. Let's go there. The Hollywood greats. Actors that, you know, watched on TV back in the old days that went on to do really great things, and it's just, you just soak in the whole thing, you know, just soak it all in. Favorite actors, I mean, really, I suppose it wasn't too hard, you know, got into the 1970s where it's like, you know, the Paul Newmans, the Robert Redfords, Steve McQueen. Yeah, you thought, that's, I really liked Warren Beatty as an actor as well back in those days. But as now, there's just so many. I couldn't put my hand up and say, oh, so-and-so is the best actor that ever lived. My own favourite actor of all time, I guess, is Richard Burton. I never met him, but I did play him in a BBC production in around about 2000. It was called Richard Burton, Tailor-Made for Stardom. And it was basically talking about, you know, it's basically based around, you know, his marriage to Elizabeth Taylor. Now, it was a drama documentary, so there wasn't too much acting required from me, and certainly I can't do Richard Burton's voice. I can attempt it very badly, but you know, it was voiced over by an actor that could do his voice. So mine was kind of just improvised stuff, and lots of, you know, just me being there really as the Burton kind of lookalike. But I never met him in life, but you know, I've admired his work since I was probably a teenager, and still do. He's so much.
He's very good. I was gonna say, so if there was any franchise ever that you've not one that you've been in, so you've been in Star Wars, you've been in Indiana Jones, you've been in Doctor Who. If there's any other one that you'd want to be a part of, what would that be?
I never really thought about that. That's a good question. I don't think I can really answer that. I'm sort of, you know, I think I was lucky with Star Wars and you know, Indiana Jones that probably two of the best. Well, they are the two best. In my opinion, they're the two best franchises. But some of the others, not so much. And I can't at this moment in time. I can't think of it. It probably comes to me in a minute. You know, well, obviously James Bond. that would have
Oh,
been. Well,
yeah.
I did do a couple of Bonds, but very much in the background on those. But yeah, I mean that's something that I'm glad that I was, I got to meet Sean Connery and Roger Moore, and so yeah, I mean in a bigger role, that would have been a franchise that I would like to have done more. I'd like to have been a scripted character in a Bond film, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the more you think about how many franchises are out there, I mean, yeah, they'll probably come to me about any of them, really, to be honest. I'm not so much into Marvel films, but if anyone had asked me to be involved in the X-Men films, I would have said yeah. I'm
No.
actor, Of course, I would have said yes. Anything,
Yeah.
But yeah, you're not going to say no.
Not really. No. If Marvel came up to you and said, "Oh, do you want to be in this film?" You're going, "Nah, John, nah, mate, I'm all right."
I'll pass on this one.
Thanks for the offer, but I think I'm too big for that at the minute. All right.
Well, I did turn down Revenge of the Jedi, as it was in those days.
So it used to be called Revenge of the Jedi?
It was originally called Revenge of the Jedi. And, one of my best buddies, John Mogbridge, he worked on the film. And he's actually got some of his call sheets with Revenge of the Jedi on there. And he's been offered lots of money for them. I mean, I don't know why he kept them after all those years. He just did his kind of guy, just doesn't throw stuff away. Mentos, I suppose, but yeah, he's been, but of course, when just before release, the title was changed to Return of the Jedi, but I actually said no to that, because the reason I said no is because I was told that it's not going to be, you're not going to get a long run on it like you did on Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
It's maybe a couple of weeks' work at most. And I was doing other stuff. I was doing some theatre at the time and working on other things that would eventually lead to my equity card, which it did later that year. And to me at that time, my priority in this country in those days, equity still exists, but it's more like a gentleman's club now. But in those days, it was a powerful union, and you had to be a member. You had to be an equity member in order to work in television, and to get scripted character parts in movies and in theatre. So I was doing fringe theatre and stuff like that would and comedy reviews that would you built the contracts up, and you had enough contracts you could go to equity and say, there you go. And they'd say, yeah, okay, give us £100 and here's your union card and off you go. And then, so it then meant that the world was open to me.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people say, what, I mean, I don't regret turning down Return of the Jedi. And, a couple of my old pals did some really good work on there. And, they do well at the conventions because they were involved in that movie, which I've missed out on. But, I made the right decision at the time. And I stand by that. I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to have no regrets, Obviously you do. You choose something for a reason.
Yeah.
And just carry on. So I want to know what your first ever paid acting job was, because to be honest, I recently had my first paid acting job last year for an anti-bullying video. So there we go. That was mine.
Cool.
Yeah, that was first ever. So that's pretty cool. What was yours?
Good. Well, it was Empire Strikes Back.
Really?
Oh, that's great.
That's a good first paid job.
That's a great start.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd been doing, amateur dramatics and, attending coaching lessons and, bits and pieces like that. I didn't go to a proper formal drama school. But, I managed to get into the Film Artists Association, which was the union for film extras, although I hate that term. And from there on, you join central castings and you just wait for the phone to ring. And the first call that I got was, for The Empire Strikes Back. And I had no idea what it was all about. No idea. It wasn't until I got there. Supposed to be 2 days' work. To be at Elm Street for 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. I got there, and it's, when I got there, obviously I found out that it was actually the sequel to Star Wars, and sat in the dressing room for 2 days. And I thought, well, this is it. This is my 2 days on here, but they were paying me for it. 2 days turned into a week.
Wow.
Then the following week, we actually got fitted as Hoth Rebels, and it just carried on from there. And it was with breaks. I worked from March '79 till a few breaks in between. But yeah, it covered a 6-month period.
But you played a lot of different characters in Empire, didn't you? You played how many did you play?
5.
Five separate characters.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a lot. And which ones do you remember? Do you remember them all? And I think I know three.
Hoth Rebel to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Then a Snowtrooper. Then was I think then it was the Stormtrooper. Although I could be wrong. It might have been an X-Wing pilot in between that. And Bespin Guard.
You've been all over the place.
Yeah.
Both sides,
You find yourself everywhere.
Yeah, that's pretty good, cool thing to say, that you were 5 separate roles in a single Star Wars film, let alone the whole franchise, a single film. That's mad. Yeah, it's
crazy.
Very impressive.
And the best one.
Which one was your favourite out of all of them? Like that you liked being as on set, or just found cool?
The Bespin Guard was the most comfortable outfit, costume, and it was a pretty damn cool costume anyway. I mean, this was 1979, and this was like, this costume was so kind of futuristic and just cool looking, with the boots and everything else, and and it was a very comfortable outfit to wear. Snowtrooper, incredibly uncomfortable. You could barely see out of those helmets. Hoth Rebel, it was okay. It was relatively comfortable. But there's nothing cooler than a Stormtrooper, really. Oh, the X-Wing pilot was fairly comfortable as well. Huge helmet, though. But there's nothing... I think it's the coolest thing, is it, being a Stormtrooper.
So were all those, like the Snowtrooper, the Hoth Trooper, and the X-Wing pilot, were they all on the first part of the film?
Well, throughout the film, I mean, the Stormtroopers are there throughout.
Yeah.
More or less. Bespins are just for Cloud City. Hoth Rebel was just and the X-Wings for Echo Base, and again the Snowtrooper, for Echo Base. So so we shot all the Echo Base scenes first. So it was 3 costume changes for that, and then Cloud City was 1 minute I'm a Bespin, next minute I'm a Stormtrooper. So
amazing.
I think I actually of times. Yeah.
Literally one of my questions that I had down was, would you say your Bespin Guard costume was the swankiest outfit you've worn?
It's up there. Yeah, it really is up there. I mean, what other swanky outfits I've worn over the years. I remember being dressed up as a Grenadier Guards officer. Or maybe not a Grenadier Guard, but a Guards officer for a TV film about the wedding of Charles and Diana. So they dressed me up as a Guards officer. That was pretty cool, in the bear skin and the red tunic and carrying a saber. That was pretty damn cool.
Sounds pretty cool. That does. Yeah. I was. Let's talk a bit about Indiana Jones. All right.
Okay.
How How did you get there? How did you get into Indiana Jones? Was it through, was it equity, like you said? How?
No, that came about because of Empire Strikes Back. Because I was asked to go to a casting in Covent Garden very early in 1980, or spring of 1980, whatever. And I got along to this casting and got in there, and I knew all I had was the title of the film. I didn't know anything about it. And Ray Button, who'd been the second assistant on Empire Strikes Back, just came over. We shook hands. He said, I'm glad you turned up, Alan. Good to see you, blah, blah, blah. Well, look, it's the same production crew as Empire. All of this is the same, except it's not Irving directing it. It's a chap called Steven Spielberg. And he said, Harrison's got the lead part. And so it's all of us lot again. Do you want to come and play? So I said, yeah, of course. So he said, okay. It was about a month's work at Elstree again. So yeah, that's how I got onto it. That was a pretty cool uniform as well, actually. Cool. Uniform. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. I was wanting to ask, like, did you get to see any cool scenes being filmed? Like, did you get to? If you weren't filming, did you sneak around a bit, or did you just locked away?
No, because all of my scenes were in the tunnel when they open up, in the cave when they opened up the yard. So that's what I was there for. I was there to be zapped.
You get your face melted?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. If you don't blink, if you watch the film, right at the end of the film when all that's going on, if you can, freeze frame it, because it is so quick. We've seen several times. We've seen you getting blasted in that.
That's also a good thing to claim. First you've been in 5 roles in Star Wars in 1 film, and now you've had your face melted in Indiana Jones.
Well, in between those 2 films, I mean, I was having a role. I worked on Flash Gordon. I worked on Superman 2. I worked on The Elephant Man.
Oh yeah.
And I worked on a couple of other things that I can't really remember at the moment. But those 3 stand out. And then, so within the first year of being in the business, I've worked on some classic movies.
Yeah, that's a long list. And what's that? Only like a year, did you say?
Yeah, less than a year. I started in March 79. Well, so just over a year. I started in March 79, and so I was working on Indiana on Raiders by about the May-June of 1980. So yeah, just over a year actually.
Yeah. That's a impressive. What would you call it? Lineup of films to have in like just over a year. That's pretty cool. Well done. That's very impressive.
Yeah. Just lucky, right place at the right time, really. I mean, Empire Strikes Back did me a lot of favours. It gave me a reputation in the business. It's all being done through central casting, so you're all, background artists, supporting artists. So, that set me up with central castings, and so basically, if anything was going on, I'd be one of the, not the top of the list, but I'd be one of half a dozen that were at the top of the list to call.
Yeah.
So let's go to them first before I waste their phone calls on anybody else. So I was very, very lucky, and that's why it worked out.
What has been your favourite experience to be? It could be from anything: theatre, film. I don't know, painting your house. What's your favourite experience?
Well, apart from Empire and Raiders, the rest of it is television. I had good moments on other films, but they're the 2 standout movies for me. I didn't have much to do on Elephant Man. I had some nice close-ups on that, but that was about it. Just reaction close-ups. It was nice to work with David Lynch. But once I got that equity card and started to work in TV, I felt like I was in the right place because, you know, now I'm a scripted character on a contract, everything else. And so that for me stands out, you know. Although once I was in doing television, I hadn't given up with central castings. I sort of kept them on the back burner. I thought, you know, just in case this all goes wrong, in case I get fired in case I upset too many television producers or directors, I'll keep my options open. You know, and they would call me, and I'd say, no, I can't. I'm busy. You know, and then they called me for a film called Absolute Beginners in '85. I'd already done Doctor Who. I'd already done other parts in television. In fact, some award-winning stuff on television. Not awards for me, but, you know, award-winning television back in the early '80s. And they called me for Absolute Beginners, and just the fact that it was starring David Bowie, who's one of my all-time heroes, and I wanted to meet David Bowie. And a couple of my old buddies at the time were working on the film as well. So, you know, I went to my agent and said, look, you know, I'm doing this film as a supporting artist. She said, oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. You're getting known on television. And I said, well, look, I really want to do it. You know, so we worked it out between us. And she said, well, look, just stay out of camera shot. You know, just don't get featured in the film. She said, because I'm pushing you for proper parts in TV. So she said, what are you doing on this movie? And I said, well, I'm part of a teddy boy gang. We're the villains of the piece. And our leader is Eddie Tenpole Tudor. And even my agent's gone, oh, what, if, you know, Sons of 1,000 Men? I said, yeah. She said, oh, I like him. She said, look, go and do it. She said, but, you know, we won't talk about it when you come back, you know. And I just, you know, went off and did that. I think it was about a month working on that. But I had a whale of a time on that picture. I mean, I really do. I was saying that it doesn't stand out as much as Raiders and Star Wars, but I just had a real good time on that film. And I did get to meet David Bowie. And I had a really great conversation with him. And I met some really other great people on there as well. And, you know, so, and I was just having fun with my friends.
Yeah.
But after that, I didn't do any more films. After that, you know, I said, well, I won't do another film unless I'm a scripted character. Unless the film, you know, unless I've got a scripted name with dialogue, everything else, then I won't do another film unless that happens. And I didn't do another film until SAILENT -10, which was, God, I can't even work out how many years later. 1985 to 2016. That's a long time.
20 years, isn't it? 20
plus years.
Yeah.
But, you know, I came back and Emma Dark, as the director and producer of the film, asked me to audition for her. And so I did, and she offered me the role. It's the lead. And so, yeah, so, you know, I was true to my word. I wouldn't go back into a film until it was, you know, something, till I had something special to do in it.
Yeah. And you did. It's pretty. It's a good. That's pretty cool. It's nice that you've managed to stick to your word. Because some people just don't nowadays, do they?
Well, again, I was, you know, during those years, I knew a lot of people who gave up the business because, you know, it's a very hard industry to make a living at. You know, you can pick up the odd job, but that's not going to, you know, it's not going to keep you alive. You know, so, you know, I was working quite predominantly in television through the 80s into the 90s. Plus, I was also getting all these corporate videos, as we used to call them in those days, training films, and TV commercials. I did very well out of TV commercials.
Yeah.
When you got repeat fees, you know. So that kept me going. So I was in a position to sort of, you know, no one offered me a film, but certainly if anyone had sort of, you know, I mean, I dropped central castings. So I wasn't in the frame to go and do, you know, background or supporting roles in films, because I just, just got myself out of it. I mean, I stopped paying my union card fees for Film Masters Association, so I just wasn't in the running. So that allowed me to not split myself up. It allowed me to be more focused and just focus on television, TV commercials, corporate videos, that sort of thing. Corporate videos in those days paid really good money.
Yeah.
Really good money. I mean, they did. In fact, more than television.
Really?
Yeah. Day rate was more than television. Yeah. I mean, I did certain training films where if I had a month's contract at the BBC and did a week on a training film, I actually earned more money on the training film than I did at the BBC.
Wow, that's mad. That's so weird.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That I've not heard anything like that. From anyone really. That's. There you go. That's a good tip. Go for the corporate thing.
If they still do all these training films now. I mean, I don't know what's happening. I mean, that's what I called them, videos. It was all shot for video.
Yeah.
Shot on videotape, and they were turned into videos. I mean, because I'm only sort of on the periphery of the business now. I'm sort of focusing on these short films. I'm still not in the mood to go and get an agent and start getting into a cut and thrust of it again. But, I don't know what happens with those things now. I mean, I should imagine that it's all digital now and going straight to DVD or, for the company's use, for whatever they're going to use them for. And what it used to take 3 or 4 days to shoot, you can shoot in a day or less nowadays. It certainly can.
That's and you get a nice little bit of money out of that.
Well, see, the thing is, they cotton on. It's all pro rata.
Yeah.
They cotton on. So in those days, if you were booked for a couple of days and it turned into a week because the light was wrong or there was a hair in the gate or something else went wrong, they still had to pay you the rate that you'd been booked on for those 2 days. They still had, the rest of it became overtime. And so, you'd rack up your fee.
Nice.
But now you can all do it on digital, and there's practically nothing can go wrong. So they can book people for a day, and that's it. That's your lot. So they pay you for a day.
Oh, those good old days when you couldn't CGI anything out.
Yeah. Oh God, I did a TV commercial for Volvo cars, which we shot in the Lake District in the middle of July. Now, okay, it's always wet and raining up there.
Yeah.
But middle of July, and it hammered it down with rain every day. And I was booked for 3 days up there, and it turned into well over a week. And of course, they've called my agent up, and my agent's called me, and I've got a message to call my agent and said, look, they're crying over the fact that they've got it. It's gonna, they can't get the shot because of the bloody weather, and it's how much money it's costing them. Look, he said, this is what I'm going to go back with. Do you agree? So I said, yeah, okay, yeah, we'll do that. But it still meant that instead of a 3-day shoot, I got like a 7 or 8 day shoot out of it.
And you got the same pay.
Well, a lot more money, but not the same as I would have been on a daily rate.
Yeah.
But it was still, we did them a deal.
Yeah.
In those days, this is like 25 years ago. It was a lot of money in those days. Whatever it was, whatever I got paid, it was a lot of money.
Well, that's shined a brew. What am I saying? That's shined a new light on the differences between a film or TV role compared to if you get a good advertising role. I think it's time to play a game.
Hello. Do you want to play a game?
I forgot to tell you. We always play a game. I think this is the most genius game I've ever come up with for this show.
Oh, yeah.
So, I have Google translated the titles of several Spielberg films, and I'm going to give one. Let's say I'll go to Tim there, who's actually called Galaxy S7 at the minute. I'll go to Tim and I'll give him the translated film title. It's in English, but I've put it through about like 10 times, so it's all muddled up, completely different to what the actual film is. You got to guess the title of the film, and if you get it right, you get a point. If not, it'll move on to the next person. So
Like Hangman.
so forth. It's not like Hangman.
What?
How is it? What?
How do you just listen to the rules and think Hangman?
So you just passed it on, so it's like.
I'll start with Tim, Tom, Alex, and Alan. I've got 6 here for you guys to guess.
I'm done with this one.
Right.
Oh, actually, do you know what? We're going to change it. We're going to do buzzer in. First person to say it.
Okay.
You got it.
Okay.
You guess it. All right.
I have a buzzer actually.
We don't need a buzzer. We don't need a buzzer. You can just shout the answer
Are you
out.
sure? I've got a really funny one.
Look, I'm going to give you the first one. All right.
Oh.
Can you guess this film? Some films have been like, it's like the subtitle. So that's like Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. It might just be Raiders of the Lost Ark if you get me.
Okay. Yeah.
So first one here is, I'm going to go this one. Extra Space.
E.T.
It's E.T. It is E.T. Well done.
Yeah, take a drink.
E.T. There we go. Nice. That was good. This one's really easy. This one's translated is called Templates and Doom.
Temple of Doom. Indiana Jones.
Oh, Tim. All right. Well, now we're going to get into some actual harder ones now. This one
It's not even
is...
buzzing in.
And just shout it out. Just shout it out.
I'll buzz.
This one, World War II.
Buzz.
That's just yeah. Go on then.
Is it War of the Worlds?
It is. It is War of the Worlds. I thought you'd said like Saving Private Ryan or something before that, because that's like some World War film. No,
you underestimate me.
Bro, Galaxy S7, pipe down.
I'm saving up for the hardest ones at the end. What else have we got? We got this one. The Game is Ready.
So?
Ready.
The game. What do you say, Tom?
You said the game is ready, like the game.
The Game is ready.
Game.
No, this is a film. It's a Spielberg.
Oh,
all Spielberg films.
Oh, okay.
The Game is Ready.
Ooh, that is interesting.
It's been translated about 11 times.
The Game is Ready.
We have an extra clue.
I can give you a clue. It's one of the newest Spielberg films. I think it's like the newest one or the second to newest Spielberg film.
Is it the one with?
Is it Enders? No.
No, it's not.
Is it like a sequel to one of his?
No. This is the first original. Like not the first film. It's based on a book as well.
Oh,
Timmy looks like he has it.
I think he does.
I don't think he does. Alan, have you got any guesses?
Give us the name of a lead actor.
Oh, I don't actually know. I don't know. I don't know the name of the lead actor. He was like a newcomer in that one. But the Game is Ready.
Is it Hunger Games? No, obviously
It's a
not.
Spielberg film, Tim.
Yeah, Spielberg.
Do you all give up? I can reveal the answer.
I do.
if you
I've
want.
no idea.
One more hint.
One more hint. Video games.
Oh
Pixel.
no! Ready Player One.
Ready Player One. There you are, Marlo. Yeah, the Game is ready. Ready Player One. Nice. We've got 2 more coming now. Right, this one is a subtitle, so it's not the actual full title because I couldn't translate the full title. Anyway, The World is Gone.
The world. The day the Earth stood still.
No.
Damn it! They didn't do that. Where was it again?
The World is Gone. So this is a subtitle. So there's a main title, which is really obvious. I couldn't put it in because it just translated to the same. And then it's that one. Then The World is Gone. It's a earlier Spielberg film. Not like it's one of his first. It's probably
Mm.
it's a sequel as well.
Oh no, I'm gonna be. Oh, no idea.
Jaws 2.
Jaws 2.
Jaws 2.
The world.
Oh yeah.
Man said Jaws 2.
Think of one of his like most famous pieces of film.
Wait, what's it called?
It's the
What did you
sequel.
say? Oh, Superman 2.
How have we got that from The World Is Gone?
No, because I don't know what.
It's actually got one word similar, or two words similar. The World Is Gone. A sequel to what probably his biggest film of all time.
Alan, do you know any? Do you know it?
No.
Just
no,
start
I've got a
thinking of
few.
Spielberg films; it might pop up.
I'm brain pausing right now.
I've got so many of them going through my mind, but I just can't equate. I just can't, equate. I mean, I could say Schindler's List, Poltergeist. I can't. The World Is Gone. I can't.
Want me to reveal the answer, everybody?
Wait, one more hint.
I don't really know. This hint's just going to give it away. All right, yeah, it's going to give it away. Dinosaurs.
Jurassic Park.
Right, Jurassic World. Yeah.
It's the Lost World, Jurassic Park. There you go. The sequel to Jurassic Park.
That's so I don't know how I wasn't.
Yeah.
Oh, so it was difficult. Now we've got the final one, which is you have to think outside the box for this one.
All right.
One word. Mandible.
Jaws.
Oh, never mind. Right, whatever. Never mind. I thought that'd be harder. Mandible is Jaws. Well done, Tim. I think Tim just stormed over that game there.
I don't know how.
Oh dear. Well done, Tim. Well done. I think you win that one.
Sorry,
Galaxy S7.
Verb.
So there we go. That was the game. I thought
that was good actually.
Yeah, I mean it's a unique game. Never done it before.
Especially when you get time to think and someone doesn't get the answer in like 5 seconds.
Yeah, like Tim does. Maybe next time should make it a bit harder, or just get rid of Tim.
Get rid of him, yeah.
Just chuck him out. So Alan, I wanted to ask. So you talked earlier. This is just a question that popped in my head while you were talking about earlier. You're a big fan of David Bowie, right?
Yeah.
What is your favourite song of Bowie's?
Oh, blind! What? You could ask me favourite one from each era, but there's no, for me, one.
There's no single. Yeah.
No, I mean the thing. The first time I'd ever seen David Bowie was on a show called Lift Off with Aisha in 1972. It's a young girl called Aisha Bruff. And they got David Bowie in the glam rock era performing Starman. And that was the first time I'd heard of David Bowie, even though Major Tom was first originally released in '69. It was all about the Beatles for me in '69. And I remember, it wasn't until after I realised who David Bowie was that, they re-released Space Oddity. And then it was like tying the two together because I had remembered it from the late 60s. But yeah, so Starman was the first track I ever saw him perform. And it just blew me away. And when I went into school the next day, all the talk in the playground was, did you see Lift Off with Aisha? David Bowie. Do you know any of his? And of course, then Spiders from, that coincided with the Spiders from Mars.
Yeah.
Which was a must-have album back in those days. I mean, luckily my older brother, because I had no money in those days, luckily I was a kid at school, but luckily my older brother was working and he bought the album so I could listen to, Ziggy Stardust at home. And then, of course, so many other great albums in that era, at that period. And then, of course, he changed to the Thin White Duke in the late 70s, and he was bringing out all this stuff that was totally different from what he'd previously done.
Yeah.
And that was the thing with David Bowie. He just kept progressing through. He was 2 steps ahead of everybody else. And so he would be continually reinventing himself. And, when I was working in Absolute Beginners with him, I didn't do much. I didn't have a scene with him, but we had lunch. And, you know, not just me and him personally, but a whole bunch of us. They had this big, long table set out. And, but I was just sort of, you know, had the opportunity to shake his hand and say hello. And we just got into a conversation from there. And the icebreaker was, because, I mean, David Bowie is the reputation of the nicest man that ever lived. And I would agree with that. No airs and graces, no pretensions, just a really lovely person. And, you know, I said, you know, the conversation got around to that David and I grew up in similar areas. He was born in Brixton, I was born in Peckham. We both lived in Beckenham and the Bromley area, which is where I was living at the time. He was living in Switzerland, but I was still in Bromley and Beckenham.
Switzerland.
And he was, you know, and he was like really cool with that. And I said, in fact, I said, I do some part-time teaching at the Beckenham Arts Centre. And he looked at me. Now, David Bowie, you might not know this, and it still exists today. He founded the Beckenham Arts Centre in about 68, 69, something like that. And his jaw dropped and he said, and the conversation just went, if we'd have had internet in those days and email and everything else, I think David and I would have still been in contact up to just before he died. But there was no way of staying in touch with people. And there was no way he could give me his bloody phone number in Switzerland, you know. But yeah, we could have kept the conversation going from there. But he was so impressed with that. And so, yeah, I mean, that's one of the greatest memories of my life, really, apart from loads of other stuff. But, you know, if you bring it down to showbiz, that was, you know, I've met a lot of the greats, but, you know, to have that conversation with Bowie, being a, you know, musical hero of mine, that's something special to me. And he hated Let's Dance, the album Let's Dance.
Did he?
Yeah, hated it. He asked Noel Rodgers to, or his management company did, to you know, David had written some songs and it was like, you know, or they collaborated anyway. They produced a Let's Dance album. And he, at the time, he went with it. But, you know, years later, he actually said publicly that that was his worst musical period of all time. And then he did Tin Drum, which I thought was his worst musical period when he formed the band Tin Drum. I thought that was, no, where are you going now, David? You know, you're going really off the ball here. I can't even listen to this stuff, you know. And then he came back again, obviously. And, you know, his last work, Red Star, is highly acclaimed. He's just an incredible man.
Was that the one where was that the album where he knew he was dying?
Yeah, he knew he was dying.
That is mad. That was crazy.
Yeah. And all his mime came back into that. His early theatrical training as a mime artist came back there. But yeah, it was it's just, you know. So it's one of I don't regret saying no to Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Because I had valid reasons for saying no. If my agent persuaded me not to do Absolute Beginners, I would have kicked myself for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I said, I'm going to do it anyway. I defied her. She said, I don't want to do this film. I said, no, I'm going to do it. Some buddies of mine are working on it. And I really want to meet David Bowie. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
So I was like a fan with David. Well, we were all like fans with David Bowie. That's it. All of us. You know?
I mean, it's just story and a half, innit? It's really, it's cool. I mean, just any stories about David Bowie is cool. He just seems like one of the nicest guys that there ever was, really.
I'll just quickly come in with another, how the process of time was. I mean, I'm 61 now, and it's, you know, the one thing when I look back over my life is unanswered questions eventually get answered. And we were having lunch at this. They set up this big, it was a beautiful summer's day, summer of '85. Proper English temperatures, not like this ridiculous oppressive heat we've had here, which should only belong in Spain, as far as I'm concerned, or Lanzarote. But this was a typical English day back in the 80s, where it's blue sky, bit of fluffy cloud, you know, warm sunshine, bearable temperatures, where you could actually sit down at a table wearing a suit, you know, in the open, wearing a suit, and not sit there and sweat like crazy. So we're all sat at this long, long table, and I'm sitting with, and I'll name drop here. I'll name drop if I can remember his name. Bruce Payne. Bro, I guess you've all heard of, hopefully you've all heard of Bruce Payne. Passenger 57, he was the villain in that. Have you ever seen that film with Wesley Snipes? And a lot of other stuff as well. He went off to America shortly after we worked on Absolute Beginners, and he did very well over there. But we're sitting there. We were not old buddies, but we'd known each other for a few years. And, you know, we're sitting there next to each other. And I nudged him and said, Bruce, is David Bowie sat next to Lionel Blair? Now, I don't know if you guys remember Lionel Blair. Well, he's still alive. He's quite an old man now.
Kicking about.
He's still kicking about, yeah, and that's what he was famous for, his kicks. He was actually choreographing the film. And, you know, so he was still really at the height of what he was doing to be able to do. It's a Julian Temple film, and Lionel Blair is doing the choreography, which was good, I suppose, because it was a film set in the late 50s. So the choreography was very much of that area, the kind of, you know, dance sequences that they would have had in movies at that time and television. And I'd said to Bruce, I said, I can't imagine what those two have got to speak to each other about, because to me they were from two totally different eras or genres or whatever you want to say. We said no, but they were deep in conversation. And then about 2, maybe 3 years later, I'm watching a late night chat show on Saturday night with my ex-wife, who wasn't an ex at the time, unfortunately, but we were married at the time. And we're sitting there, it's quite late at night on Saturday, and we're watching this chat show. And Lionel Blair comes on as one of the guests. So the conversation steers round to, you've done a film with David Bowie. Yes, about 18 months ago, a couple of years ago. Okay, and you know, well, what was that like? Oh, it was great. And then the conversation that I was party to, that I couldn't hear, actually, Lionel Blair said, yeah, we were having lunch and on this big long table, and he's describing the scene, and he said, I said to David, do you know, I'm surprised we've never met before. And David said to him, he said, well, actually, Lionel, we have. Really? Yeah, we met in 1967. I auditioned for one of your shows in the West End, and you turned me down. It's like, and I remember this conversation. Well, from memory, I can still see his face dropping, his jaw wide open, and he's going, "Oh my God, David, I'm so terribly sorry." And he said, "Well, I was David Jones in those days, and I wasn't very good. But one never forgets one's rejections."
No. That is a good story.
Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so weird. Bloody hell. Right, well, I've got one final question before we go. Anyone else got any questions before? No?
What was your experience like on Doctor Who, on the set for Doctor Who?
Yeah, well, that was another good one. As I say, you know, I was an avid fan when I was a child. By the time the 70s came around, I was still into it, but, you know, I was sort of, you know, going to work and building up my own life, and, you know, I wasn't a particular sci-fi fan anyway. And then it kind of, you know, I really liked the early Doctors, but the newer ones that were coming in, you know, I wasn't so keen on it. And I had, you know, another life, you know, I was busy working actor, and so I wasn't watching. I wasn't watching Doctor Who because most of the time I just wasn't at home.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I got the call to go and work on Doctor Who as Eleanor Bron's guard. Eleanor Bron, she's a great actress of her day. And so, yeah, of course I'll be there. Colin Baker was the Doctor.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, again, it was a nice small set, and you got Daleks. It was Revelation of the Daleks.
Oh, wow.
So you got, you know,
you got such a good episode.
So it was one of the best ones, really. So we've got
is, like,
Davros on set. We've got some other, well-known actors, and
Just
we're
been
all
in
having
everything.
fun. I get exterminated by a Dalek, which was a dream came true.
What?
Oh,
That was a dream came
I'm going to see
true.
if I can find that scene.
That's
Yeah.
twice now you've been killed by a shock now. Indiana Jones, Darling.
You're getting killed all the time. Did you get killed in Empire at all?
Only when he shot himself.
Allegedly shot. We don't actually see him get shot in Empire. No, the stuntmen replaced us. Stuntmen replaced us, but for that, when in fact, when the friend John Mogridge and I, we put Harrison Han Solo into the carbonator, and Chewie then throws a fit and throws 2 stormtroopers off of the platform. Well, that's John and I, but we're replaced by.
Stuntmen.
Yeah.
See, so technically, your character gets killed.
Oh, in Empire several times. I get killed in Raiders, and I get killed in Doctor Who. But yeah, getting exterminated by a Dalek was absolutely incredible, because I've grown up. I watched the first episode in 1963, and this was 20 years later. This was 1983. So we'd had 20 years of Doctor Who by then.
Now was that?
But funny enough, with
Well, like,
Doctor Who,
nearly 60, I think.
yeah, so that was just that was just great fun to do, and it was another thing ticked off the list.
You've been
That's crazy.
everything
All
now.
sorts.
What's the list you've
Ticked
got
off
there,
a lot of big names off the list, and died in a cool.
And died in all of them.
Not just a pathetic shot. You've been melted,
actually
exterminated,
killed.
and then thrown by Chewbacca. I mean,
That's a win.
you don't get killed like boring
I'd retire.
shot or something. That is really good. So, have you been keeping up with Star Wars? Do you watch anything else? We've been keeping up. Or just like, nah.
I tell you what, I took my son to see the very first prequel, Phantom Menace,
Right.
when that was released in 1999 or 2000. And he loved it, and I enjoyed it myself. And then the other prequels that came along, I wasn't really. I was just getting on with life,
Yeah.
But I've seen them all on TV several times, and they're nothing like the original trilogy. I love the CGI that they use and the characters that they use, but for me, it's just not the same as watching the original trilogy. The sequels, I'm kind of enjoying. I really enjoyed Rogue One. I've seen it 3 times.
Yeah.
Oh, Rogue One. Yeah, that is really good.
Okay, Rogue One's good.
Yeah, I really. So the first time I saw it was in Germany with some German fans. Star Wars fans.
What?
And, so fans of mine as well. They set up a private screening of it with a whole bunch of Star Wars German fans along there. And they asked me if I would come along as their guest, which I obviously said yes to. I really enjoyed it, but I didn't take it in too much at the time. And then I saw it back here on TV, and I thought, yeah, it really. And then I watched it for the 3rd time on TV recently. And it's a really good. I mean, it's a sequel, but it's actually a prequel, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of, in some ways, that makes it better, and it fills in a huge gap between the prequels and A New Hope. It really it leads into A New Hope so well that the more I watch that thing, the more I enjoy it. The others, I'm still not really into the sequels too much. I've seen The Force Awakens. I've yet to see Rise of and all that. But, I really go to the cinema. Well, in fact, I haven't been to the cinema in years. I really don't enjoy the experience. It's not, it's not the experience that I grew up with. And I stopped going to the cinema years ago. I mean, let's face it, nowadays, the TVs are so bloody big with every gimmick involved.
Yeah.
Your own home cinema at home. You know?
I mean,
So I don't, and it's and there's been very few films that have tempted me to go to the cinema to see them. And maybe I'm being too picky, but when I've eventually got to see them on television, I've not been that impressed, except for The Revenant. I saw The Revenant.
That's where Leonardo won his Oscar finally. Was it?
Yeah.
Wait, was it? Yeah, it must have been.
So the early settlers days of America. He gets mauled by the bear and rides the horse over the cliff. I think he got a nomination for that. I don't know if he actually did. I don't know. Maybe
he won. There was one film that I don't know if it was Revenant, but there was a film that he won one for. Like recently, it was like recently. No, past 5 years. He won his Oscar.
I think Revenant's only a couple of years old. Maybe
I'm pretty sure it was The Revenant. He definitely got a nom, but
that was one I fancied to go and see at the cinema, and I didn't. And then when I watched it on TV, I thought, I should have gone to see that because it's a really great film. I really enjoy it. Yeah.
I'm kind of the opposite. I'm like an avid film goer. I find films to go watch. I just like sitting down and not having to think about anything else.
Yeah.
Except from Marvel films I love. I just like sitting there watching explosions and people getting their ass kicked. It's just fun. It's just fun. It's really fun.
I mean,
That's
to be
what I
fair,
like.
me and Alex, right? So Alex found a film called what is it? Something in Hollywood. What's it called?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah,
Tarantino.
That, not knowing what it was, just to see a film, and we were so blown away. It was so funny, but it was so good.
I've not seen it yet. I've heard it's really good.
Oh,
it's a thinker film, isn't it? You got to think.
Yeah.
You got to think about it.
Some people don't understand it. And they're like, this is trash.
Yeah, people, because they obviously, if you watch the old Tarantino films, obviously he's got his own style. A lot of ass kicking. This one's a bit different, but it's still got his
amazing film
feel to it.
Still got his like gory scene in it, hasn't he? So
yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
I was just looking up Leonardo's actual Oscar win and what it was for. It was for The Revenant after 6 nominations.
Yeah.
That's his 6th nomination. No, I think that would be 7th nomination. He finally got one. But
the thing is, I mean, I've taught acting, I've coached it, blah blah blah. But I'm not Lambda or RADA trained. But often, a lot of his acting in the film is reacting, and it's how you react, and that often takes more acting skill than going on stage and doing Shakespeare.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done a small amount of Shakespeare on stage, and basically, you've learned your lines, you know your moves, you rehearsed it a million times, and you can go on there and get the iambic pentameter and think about your shopping list while you're doing it. You're going through the motions and thinking about your shopping list. And that's not true to be said for every Shakespearean actor, but I've seen it happen in real life. And it's happened to me. But watching, DiCaprio in The Revenant, he's reacting to the stuff and real strong shit that's gone on around him.
Yeah.
And he did such a great job of it. He really, really did. And it's one of those fine lines where unless you get it absolutely spot on, you can be under par or you can be over the top.
Yeah.
So you'll get accused of underacting or overacting. But he got it spot on, and that's why he got the Oscar for it. You know. And so you quite often don't need, dialogue to put off a good performance. As long as your heart and as long as your soul is reflecting what's going on in that character's mind, and then of course your facial expressions will act for you, basically, as long as you've really got yourself in the moment.
That just made me think of. That made me think of. You said you don't need dialogue to have a good film. Well, if you're good enough, you know. Have anyone seen A Quiet Place? 'Cause that was a good. Because they don't really speak throughout it much.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've watched bits of it.
It was. I
language
really enjoyed it. It's a horror film, you know. It's spooky, but I really enjoyed it, you know.
Yeah.
And it was a big difference between what we normally see.
Yeah.
So it was a nice, refreshing film, I think. That one. Well, Alan, thanks for joining us for today. Have you got anything to promote or anything to say?
Well, if anyone does get the opportunity, SAILENT -10 is on YouTube at the moment. It's a straight to video film. It's just, you know, go on YouTube and tap in SAILENT -10. I'm sure you'll find it. It's a 12-minute short. I've got the lead role in that, and it is all about me. So, you know, have a look at it and see what you think. I've got a Best Actor award at one film festival for it.
I saw that. Yeah.
Right, okay, great. But you know, and then I've recently, the first part of this year, played a film called The Other Soul to Evie, which again is another short film. The first for me, where I play the father of two adult children. He's got an adult son and daughter, so it's about the son and daughter really. And I play their dad. But you know, that's a really nice little film. Actually, I enjoyed it. And next month I'm doing something which I can't really talk about at the moment because it's still in, you know, very, very early days. So that's another short next month, and I've got hopefully 2 more lined up after that if we can ever get this coronavirus behind us. Or rather, say 2 more lined up. I know I've got 2 directors, and this is a really nice thing to be able to say at my time of life. You know, is that they're both writing scripts with me in mind for the leads.
Oh,
So
that is really cool.
It's a nice thing for an old guy, you know, my age anyway, to actually be playing the lead in something. But they're short films as well, so we'll see how it goes with those. But if they happen, it'll be next year.
Next year. Well, if they happen, it's been a roller coaster ride for the film industry, the acting industry at the minute.
Yeah. It's been absolutely. Everything's a big if, but no, at the moment I'm kind of just enjoying, you know, being offered stuff. You know, it's like that's the nice thing about it. People approaching me and say, "Would you consider doing this?" And that is a really nice thing because my entire life it's been about chasing after the jobs. You know, going for castings, auditions, what have you. A couple of times, you know, right place, right time. I mean, you know, Ravens was just given to me. You know, because I've been involved in Empire. But yeah, I mean, most of the time you're chasing after the work. So it's nice at this time of life to actually have people coming to me and saying, "Look, would you do this film?" So
yeah, it's always nice. Someone offers a role that's based on you. Must be cool.
Yeah, it's good. I do like this. I do like it at the moment. And that's kind of why I'm actually reluctant at the moment, but it might be something that I do have to do is like, you know, get the show reel together, which I will do anyway. I'll do that just for the sake of having one. But then having to go out and promote myself with agents and, you know, go to meetings and then actually having to go out there and, you know, physically audition. And the other thing, which seems to be a trait now, is these self tapes. I can't get my head around those at all. I cannot get my head around how you do that. I really don't.
You have to get your kids to help you with that one.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'd rather travel up to London or down to Brighton and actually go into the room and sit in front of a camera and do it. That's how I'd rather do it. But so I've been asked a couple of times, could you do a self-tape? And I've said no, point blank. Oh well, but what's it for? And I don't want to be snobby about it because I hate that. But if it's going to be something life changing, well, I'll make an effort.
Yeah.
But if it's not, then don't ask me to do stuff that I'm not comfortable with.
Yeah,
So,
that's fair enough.
That is fair.
Right, well, Alan, thank you for coming on and joining us for this evening and this week's podcast, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Round of applause. Give him a round of applause, everybody.
Yeah.
Hooray! Anyway, guys, we'll be back next week with another podcast and another guest.
thanks very
Hope
much,
you
guys.
enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
It's no
All the best.
problem. It's
No
no problem.
problem.
We'll leave the link for SAILENT -10 in the description down below, so go check that out. Obviously,
Go
it's
check
a
it
free
now.
film to watch on YouTube, so
Yeah.
why wouldn't you?
It's free.
And we'll see you later, guys. Bye.
See you later. All the best.
Bye.
Bye then.